Welcome to The Quest from the studios of the Guadalupe Radio Network. Join us as we journey together on this pilgrimage of faith. And now your host, Sarah Soto.
Hey y'all, welcome back. It's good to be with you on this beautiful feast of Our Lady of the Rosary. What a beautiful Monday it is. Folks, it's still warm in Texas. It's going to be warm, I fear, forever. I'm a Catholic wife, mom, and speaker. For more information or to shoot us a message, ask us any questions about the topics that we cover on the show, please send us an email at thequest@grnonline.com. Folks, I know that you hear me say, as a sanguine, I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this. I'm looking forward to this, because we often use really over-the-top and exaggerated language. We really mean it. We're not trying to be silly. We are often very easily excited. But truly, I'm trying to, and not to offend any other previous guests that I've had, I'm trying to recall a time when I was looking forward to a conversation the way that I am for today's. And I can't. I'm just really, really excited to share today's guest and the subject that we're going to cover today. There's a lot of confusion in our world, and it seems lately that there is a terrible, terrible confusion, especially among some of our youngest and most vulnerable children about their genders. And so it is often difficult as Catholics to navigate through all of that without this overabundance of resource. I mean, there's not this massive section, right, in the Catechism that talks about gender confusion. The whole thing really kind of points you in the right direction. But I'm so honored to have our guest on today, and that is, of all the. Before I introduce him, I want to say that, before we have the show, I get to. We connect for a second and sort of ask questions and kind of go over what we're going to discuss. And one of the things on my list that I was going to ask, which I didn't, is, am I saying your last name correctly? And so let's give it a shot. Today, I'm so honored and so excited to have from the senior ethicist at the National Catholic Bioethics Center, Father Tadeusz Pacholczyk, on the show. Father Tad, thanks for joining us. Wow. I wasn't practicing for an embarrassingly long amount of time or anything, so I'm glad that it's right. You could tell, huh? Good. I'm so glad. And thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show. I know you're very busy, and I appreciate it so much. And I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. Thank you. For just a little bit of background on Father Tad. He earned his doctorate in neuroscience from Yale. He did his postdoctoral work at Harvard. He was ordained in 1999 as a priest for the Diocese of Fall River in Massachusetts, and currently serves as a senior ethicist, as I stated earlier, at the National Catholic Bioethics Center, which is in Philadelphia. Father Tad, for those who've never heard of the National Catholic Bioethics Center, would you mind sharing a little bit about what they do, what you all do? Mm. 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 Right. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. 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 Right. Mm. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm. Wow. Mm. Wow. Yes. Mm. Okay. Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's actually an incredible amount of resources on the website. That's and for those that are listening and are very intrigued about the incredible guidance that the National Catholic Bioethics Center offers, that's ncbcenter.org. NCB, National Catholic Bioethics Center.org. There are so many. Sorry, go ahead. Mm. Yeah, I'm seeing. I was looking at your website earlier, and I think it's really great. You've got some resources in Spanish, which I think is incredibly helpful. Yeah. I see Italian and Polish on here too. Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And so no, that's so his personal website again is, and I'll plug it throughout the show here today, but that's Father spelled out FATHER, TAD.com. With all, I see it's got his column, and he's got some writings on here too. So it's really, really good tool. But also, again, the National Catholic Bioethics Center is ncbcenter.org. And is it, can they, if I remember correctly, so there's tons and tons of free, there's free information on the website beyond, you can just go for hours and hours and hours. And if you've had a question that's under the umbrella of bioethics, there's so many free bits of information. But there's also a resource to actually reach out and contact an ethicist if someone is perhaps in a situation like at their relative's end of life, where they can consult the National Catholic. Mm-hmm. Wow. Great. Okay. That's ncbcenter.org for the National Catholic Bioethics Center. And again, we have Father Tad Pacholczyk with us. From there, you can visit his website, father, all spelled out, tad.com. We're going to talk about gender confusion today in the church and how, well, we're going to learn a bunch of really great information. We'll be back just after a very quick break.
Hey, Donnie, what are the two most important things we receive at Mass?
The Christmas scripture.
That's right. All right, one more. Who loves you the most?
Jesus.
That's right.
Mary.
That's right. They love us too. If you don't educate your children in the faith, who will? Educate yourself and your family by listening daily to the Guadalupe Radio Network, and make sure to get the GRN app by logging online to grnonline.com.
Listen to The Spirit World with Debbie Georgiani and Adam Bly.
Demonic activity appears to be on the rise. I'm Debbie Georgiani, and I invite you to join Adam Bly and me this weekend for The Spirit World.
On The Spirit World, we offer a Catholic perspective on angels, demons, and how the spiritual and physical worlds interact.
Saturdays at 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern on the Guadalupe Radio Network and other EWTN radio affiliates. Visit grnonline.com/spiritworld.
Welcome back to The Quest, an extraordinary journey where every step brings us closer to discovering God's love for us. Want to join the conversation? Give us a call at 877-757-9424.
Hey y'all, welcome back. It's a great joy to be with you all on this beautiful feast day of Our Lady of the Rosary. We have Father Tad Pacholczyk with the National Catholic Bioethics Center with us, and I just a little bit of background. Father Tad came to our diocese to speak at the priestly convocation here in our diocese. I want to say it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and as a good diocesan employee would, my friend, I believe, invited him to speak at a parish, right? Because we're not all invited to the priestly convocation because it's for priests. And she was like, this topic is going to be so good. It's going to be so informative. We've got to get Father Tad over while he's here and get him to speak to as many people that are willing to come. And so when I found out what the topic was going to be, I canceled the plans that I had. And I went to this parish. Actually, it's funny. It's the parish that I was baptized at. And I was completely blown away. There's no other way for me to explain. I think I had been searching for answers because, and Father Tad doesn't know this, but I work a lot with teens. And it's one of the most common questions that I get from teens, right? What the church teaches on same-sex attraction and why. And then what are we supposed to do as Catholics when my friend Jenny asks me to start calling her, Tom or something like that? I don't know how to navigate this as a Catholic 13-year-old. And so I'm sitting there and I'm kind of soaking it all in, and I was really blown away. And I think, and we'll get to this at some point, but I was sitting next to a friend of mine who's in a wheelchair. And there were some If you stay tuned in with us here, there's a video that Father Tad shared with us, and it was so eye-opening that my friend who's in a wheelchair continues to bring it up to me on anytime transgender ideology comes up in conversation, we refer to Father Tad's talk. And so it's a little bit of like a dream come true to have Father Tad on the show, because he's just so thoroughly researched on this subject, and it's incredible, his knowledge. And I'm just looking forward to sharing with our listeners that his vast knowledge on the subject, so that we can, as Catholics, better evangelize and better support those who are experiencing gender dysphoria. So, without further ado, my list of 900 questions, we'll try to narrow it down in the short time that we have. But I think the first and foremost is the number of people that are experiencing gender dysphoria as large? Is it as vast? Is the number of people who experience gender dysphoria as big as the media makes us want to believe? Is it really affecting, thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people? Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Right. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Hmm. Right. Hmm. Hmm. Do you know of any research that shows that uptick happened around, say, March of 2020? Okay, I'm just wondering when people went into, I've just heard lots of stories of people going into quarantine and then seeing a counselor or a psychiatrist on Zoom, whenever the world was shut down, and being prescribed hormones after one initial session, right? Because everyone's, especially in these bigger cities, everyone's locked away. And I've seen now, 4 years post-COVID, a lot of people coming out saying that they regret seeking treatment that was so hasty during that time, and it was just a very vulnerable time for people. And I hate to see. It really angers me the way that, especially young people who are isolated and away from family, were being treated and prescribed such life-changing medication without proper care. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Wow. My goodness. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're sterilizing. Yes. Oh. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. My uncle and I, he's a physician, and he's so torn apart by all this. And years ago, he said the only way that this is going to turn around is when the doctors have to start paying, the doctors who are mutilating children and even adults start to get sued. And so, yeah, it looks like that's it. Yeah. Me too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. I mentioned just a second ago, I said, well, I think I said it, mutilating children or mutilating children. And so one of the things that I'll be honest, I lost a little sleep over when you gave that initial talk that I heard, was you made a connection for me that I don't think in a million years I could have made myself. You talked about how these surgeries, right, these transgender surgeries are a form of self-mutilation. In in a way, when people... Right. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when you say baseline, you don't even mean of any real functionality, I mean, you, right. Yeah, not even, yeah, not. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm. I couldn't agree with you more. And we're not, the point of the show today is not to arm everyone with a bunch of facts to to share, but to first, yes, have compassion for those who are genuinely struggling. We're going to take a short break, but I have Father Tadeusz Pacholczyk. He's a senior ethicist at the National Catholic Bioethics Center, and we're talking about gender confusion in the church. And he's sharing some really, really helpful information with us that he's spent so much time researching, and I'm just very grateful to have him on. We'll be back.
This is Life News Radio. I'm Jim Anderson. Despite efforts by abortion industry advocates, a Florida judge says courts have no power over deciding between meritorious or misleading arguments. An abortion-friendly vote seeks a constitutional ban against any effort to regulate medical safety, parental oversight, or restrictions against any abortion procedure. Governor DeSantis and others are now free to remain openly critical of problems in Amendment 4. One member of Britain's Labour cabinet is opposing a vote in Parliament on assisted suicide before Christmas. Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood criticizes the effort to turn Britain into what she calls a nation of nanny killers. She says, once you cross that line, you've crossed it forever. Mahmood adds that the danger lies in making people see themselves as a burden to society. Supporters of arranged dying by suicide try to suggest that people are being coerced to live. This is Life News Radio. When officials tally this election, the results matter, but your participation matters more. God will see the souls that respond to the evils of abortion and to a culture of death. When you have a chance to vote, your participation is a moral obligation. History will record your participation, and that is something you can tell to your children and grandchildren. Get informed, think well, and vote for a culture of life. 40 Days for Life continues in places like Bellevue, Nebraska. A high schooler named Judy showed a peanut-sized, accurate model of an 8-week baby to an abortion client who was indeed 8 weeks pregnant. The conversation led to a visit to a local pregnancy help group, even though abortion workers tried to dissuade her. For pro-life headlines delivered to your email address daily, sign up at lifenews.com. This has been Life News Radio.
You're listening to The Quest, a pilgrimage of faith. Have a question or something to share? Call the show live at 877-757-9424.
Hey y'all, welcome back. It's such a great joy to have Father Tadeusz Pacholczyk from the National Catholic Bioethics Center on the show with us today. As you heard in our voiceover, if you have a question for Father Tad, anything we're discussing about gender confusion in the church and any of the things that we go over today, please feel free to give us a call. Father Tad is a wealth of information, and even he's got his website, which has so many resources on it, as does the National Catholic Bioethics Center. So his website is Father, F-A-T-H-E-R, Tad, T-A-D.com, fathertad.com. Please check it out, and he's got some really incredible stuff on there, and some in Spanish too, so that's very, very helpful, especially here in Texas. And the National Catholic Bioethics Center is ncbcenter.org. There's so much information on there. You could read it for days and you still wouldn't know it all. ncbcenter.org. Again, if you have a question for Father Tad or anything we're discussing on today's show about gender confusion, give us a call at 877-757-9424. Again, that's 877-757-9424. We'd be happy to take your call. Now, Father, during the break, I was going over some of the things I jotted down, and you told a really interesting story about the history of the term gender dysphoria as found in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Do you remember telling that story a few years ago, or do you know what I'm referring to? What it used to be called, in other words? Could you share a little bit about that, please? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh, okay. Mm. Right. Oh my goodness. Hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. I'm sure there's no bad motive behind why that change occurred. And we have a call from Faye from Houston on the line. Hopefully we can hear her when she hops on. She has a question about a term called gender mutilation. Faye, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
I sure can. What's your question for Father Tad?
So, my understanding of the term gender causes a lot of confusion for me in this whole discussion. I can almost accept use of the term gender identity. What I cannot accept, and I don't think Father Tad uses this term, I don't understand gender mutilation. And it seems to me that we need to be a little more explicit about what it really is. It's genital mutilation, or a word that Father Tad used just a moment ago that got me to thinking more about this whole discussion. Maybe it's gonad mutilation. It just seems to me to be misleading to refer to gender mutilation, and I'll take his comments off the air.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
It's so terrible because you're not. I just want to, for those that are listening, it's so, if it makes you uncomfortable or sort of wriggle in your seat, there are doctors performing these irreversible surgeries on children, and so this is why I'm so passionate about it. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons why Father Tad has done so much research on it, but I can't. I've lost sleep at night thinking about the doctors who take this oath, right, to care and not to harm, and that it's so destructive. And actually, you mentioned something just now, Father Tad. And for those of you that have questions for Father Tad, feel free to call in. I've got lots of questions for him. That doesn't mean you can't ask questions too. That's 877-757-9424 with Father Tad Pacholczyk from the National Catholic Bioethics Center, talking about gender confusion in the church. That's 877-757-9424. So I mentioned, if you've been listening in this whole hour so far, I mentioned that when I first heard Father Tad speak, I was sitting with a friend who is wheelchair bound. He has been since he was quite small, and Father Tad showed us a video, and I think it was to talk about elective surgeries and what at the rate that we're performing these mutilative surgeries on people to give the illusion that they're able to change their gender. Where's the stopping point, right? So if anyone can walk in and say to a doctor, here's $50,000, I'd like you to chop this part of me off and add this part here and there, where does it end? And Father Tad, you shared a video of a woman who was like a very aggressive, active skier, and she was searching. She was like on a worldwide hunt. I believe she was British, I can't recall, but she was looking all over the world to find a doctor who would intentionally paralyze her from the waist down because she identified as, what is it, transable, I think it's called? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. 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 Right. I couldn't agree with you more. You mentioned something. We're going to take a short break here, but I do want to talk. There is a lot of rhetoric out there that encourages people to go past the point of compassion and to support and help those seeking these types of treatments and surgeries, because they say if they don't have them done, they'll commit suicide or be bullied to the point of committing suicide. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that after our short break. If you have a question for Father Tad, or you're listening to the show and you want some clarification on something, give us a call at 877-757-9424. Again, that's 877-757-9424. We'll be right back.
This is Franciscan Media's Saint of the Day for October 7th. Today we celebrate Our Lady of the Rosary. Pope Pius V established this feast in 1573 to thank God for a Christian military victory over the Turks 2 years earlier, a victory attributed to praying the Rosary. The development of the Rosary has a long history. First, a practice developed of praying 150 Our Fathers, in imitation of the 150 Psalms. Then there was a parallel practice of praying 150 Hail Marys. Soon, a mystery of Jesus' life was attached to each Hail Mary. In the 16th century, the Rosary was developed to include 15 mysteries, 5 joyful, 5 sorrowful, and 5 glorious. In 2002, Pope John Paul II added the 5 luminous mysteries to this devotion. The Rosary's main focus is on Jesus, but it also makes us aware that Mary was and is intimately joined with her Son in all the mysteries of his earthly and heavenly existence. Through the Rosary, we sense that Jesus and Mary are with us too in the joys and sorrows of life. It allows us to grow in hope that God will bring us to share in the glory of Jesus and Mary forever. There's more about the saints along with inspiration and Catholic resources at our website, saintoftheday.org. From Franciscan Media, this has been Saint of the Day.
This is The Quest from the studios of the Guadalupe Radio Network. Share the show with a friend. You can find us on social media. Want to listen again? We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back. It's a great joy to be with you here on The Quest. We're here with you Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. Download the Guadalupe Radio Network app or listen and stream from our website, grnonline.com, or any of the ways that you take in any media whatsoever. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. That's what they call it, right? X, Facebook. Did I already say Facebook? And Instagram. Please tune in. We usually have video. We don't today, but you can always jot down our number, save it in your phone so that you can. We have great guests all the time, and you're always welcome to call in and ask questions. I have Father Tadeusz Pacholczyk with us from the National Catholic Bioethics Center. You can visit his website, which has a ton of great information on it. That's all spelled out, Father, Father, tad.com, and visit the website where he is a senior ethicist, the National Catholic Bioethics Center at ncbcenter.org. They have so much information on there. It's just incredible. It's an incredible resource, all free, just really, really, really good stuff. And also, if you want to invite Father Tad to talk at your parish, your priestly convocation, and listening, I'm sure you can get a hold of him through either website, which I highly, highly recommend as someone who heard him speak as the first time I ever encountered him. Father Tad, before the break, I was mentioning, and really what my hope in asking you this question is, for the average Catholic who knows, who has a sense that it's immoral, right, to to support the destruction of the human body for the purpose of trying to quote unquote change your gender, and to do it oneself, right? I mean, there's obviously if someone is in a state of they have a mental health disorder, and so they're less responsible, but supporting those things is obviously not good. And it's for the average Catholic who knows that and can sense that and knows that there's something not good there, but they hear the rhetoric of, well, these surgeries are actually, and I hear this all the time, life-saving surgeries. I am so miserable in the body that I've been given. And you mentioned, bodily acceptance earlier, which I think is so important, so important and very necessary, especially for these times. But for those that have someone in their family that are battling gender dysphoria, how can we, stand up for what's right and meet them with compassion when they're telling us that they are perhaps feeling in danger of harming themselves, or that they've been told by a psychiatrist that their risk is increased, their suicide risk is increased if they don't seek out these surgeries to quote unquote affirm the gender that they feel they identify with, if that's not a loaded question. Mm. Mm. Oh my goodness. Oh. Sure. Right. Mm. 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 Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Mm. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's well. There's, as always, there's never enough time. I hope that when your busy season is over, you'll consider joining us in the future on another show. But we've only got a couple of minutes left, and I don't think that any of the remaining questions I have should be dwindled down to just a minute and a half. But first, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, especially during this time of year, Father Tad, to join us here on the Guadalupe Radio Network and to share your insight, your knowledge, and your expertise. We really, really appreciate your time. I can't tell you enough how much of a joy it is to have you on the show. Yes. I couldn't agree with you more. I hope that we get to have more conversation about this in the future. But for those of you that didn't get to listen to the whole show, it will be available anywhere you find podcasts. It'll be on our website, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Father Tad Pacholczyk from the National Catholic Bioethics Center. Visit his website, fathertad.com, or the National Catholic Bioethics Center at ncbcenter.org. I'm your host on Mondays and Thursdays of The Quest, Sarah Soto. As always, thank you for joining us. Listen to us Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern, here on the Guadalupe Radio Network. Shoot us a message at thequest@grnonline.com if you have any questions or want more information. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, God bless you.
Faith, hope, charity. This is the Guadalupe Radio Network.